so much for joining us.
You're welcome for having me.
I'm going to go ahead and get us started, okay?
Awesome.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Martin with Beauty Queens Galore, the pageant resource. And today we have with us Megan Swanson of Powerhouse Pageantry. And this pageant powerhouse has been dominating the states by helping queens master their presence since 2016. So thank you again for joining us. Do you mind sharing a little bit with us about how you started in the industry and some of the services that you offer?
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. So I see some of my clients popping on here. Hello. I was Miss Nebraska in 2014 and then Miss Nebraska USA last year. And I got involved in the industry because of scholarship originally. And when I was 19, I didn't even know the difference between Miss America and Miss USA at the time. And I had done America's National Teenager when I was younger and placed top 10 at nationals. And that was great and everything, but I still didn't know. I remember people recommending me for Teen USA and Outstanding Teen, and it kind of just went over my head. And I was so focused on things like basketball and show choir in high school that I really wish I would have done teen and like known what that was. But I put pageants on the shelf for a long time until I was kind of I was going through an eating disorder actually my freshman year of college. I had moved 12 hours away from home, was pursuing music in Nashville. And long story short, I needed a goal to set for myself that could kind of help me to grow. And I just broken up with my first boyfriend, just lots of transition. And pageants were really something that helped me to align back in my community and just kind of figure out who I was. And what I love about pageantry the most is that I think that it has the opportunity to put ourselves on a platform to be seen by the world for everything that we are and to become the kind of communicator that does well in pageantry. You have to kind of squeeze out a lot of those insecurities and work on a lot of those things that maybe have been in the dark for a long time. So that's kind of my story with pageantry. And then we're a full service agency when it comes to Powerhouse Pageantry. Tomorrow, actually, we have a brand new funnel with over 25 products launching on pageantwinnersecrets.com. And we're soft launching it to all of our current clientele today, but that comes out tomorrow. So if you go to pageantwinnersecrets.com, you guys can find that. And we're giving away a free book that's 85 pages long on the It Factor to anybody who wants it. So feel free to get that. That's our gift to the pageant industry. But we are a full service agency, so we can do everything from interview to branding to on-stage question, everything in between.
Oh, that's amazing. So as a coach, do you have a particular style that you prefer to use with every client?
When you say style, what do you mean style?
Well, just maybe the way that you coach, like is there a certain method that you use?
Good question. So I think that every coach's method is developed over time. The beautiful thing about true coaching versus I think a lot of people, let's kind of back up and actually think of like the definition of coaching, I suppose. So like, I think a lot of times you see people get done with competing and they're like, okay, now I'm offering coaching services. And I think everybody's heart's in the right place, and that's wonderful. And I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anybody or anything like that. But, developing the art of coaching is developing the art of being able to pull out of people what is actually in them. And that's why our logo with Powerhouse Pageantry says unlock the winner within. That's really our mantra and our mission at my company. Because coaching is drawing out of somebody something that's already been in them the whole time. And it takes a keen facilitation of knowing how to properly ask people questions to A, make them vulnerable enough to share with you, and B, to have both the knowledge in the industry to know how to draw that out of somebody and to be able to identify the correct problems that are actually going on. For example, if I called myself a golf coach, I could look at someone's swing all day and motivate them, but I'm not keen enough in the golf world to actually know what's wrong with their swing. We take that same approach in pageantry, right? Like I've competed at Miss America and Miss USA, my sister as well. We've been on those national stages. We know what it takes to get somebody to be successful. And so we take the knowledge side of that as well as actually being certified coaches on top of that, my sister and I, to really try and create the best customer experience humanly possible, and making sure that we're never coaching somebody out of their authentic self, because unfortunately that happens sometimes, but making sure that through our programming, our courses, and certainly our individual coaching as well, that we're, like I said, it's a discovery process, because that's something that everyone deserves to know about themselves, is their identity and who they are and what they're all about. Even outside of pageantry, that's something that everyone deserves to know in their life.
how do you coach somebody who is already stuck in their ways?
Yeah, so short answer, we don't. We're very selective with who we work with for that reason. We actually do a 45-minute free strategy call with anybody who wants to work with us. And because of that, in the last 7 years, we've actually never had a problem with our clientele. We've never had a crazy mom. We've never had a parent trying to live vicariously through their kid. And that's because we're really selective. You know, I don't want to be that coach who coached 27 out of the 30 girls that's competing there today. I would rather coach 3 girls and they all get in the top 5, and maybe you got first runner up, second runner up, third runner up, and ultimately because just the wind was blowing a certain direction that day, you maybe didn't win. But the biggest feedback that we get from all of our girls is that their lives are truly transformed. And at the end of the day, of course, we want the marrying of you with a crown on your head and you becoming this transformed version of yourself. And, you know, luckily everybody on our staff has been able to do that at minimally the statewide level. But sometimes that doesn't happen. But the feedback that we get, which is so transformative and awesome, is that minimally our girls are walking out as people who are operating in wholeness, people who have healed from the trauma in their life, people who know exactly what their leadership style is, their personality, their identity, and what they're here for. And they're becoming truly powerhouse leaders that are functional members of society, not just functioning members of pageantry.
Yeah, that's great purpose to put behind your business. And it's also interesting that you don't coach just everybody. So how do you know, like, what do you do when it's not a good fit?
Yeah. Oh, hello, by the way, Brooke, Lee, I see a bunch of people coming on. What I do at the beginning of a strategy call is I actually preface that. So when I'm talking with somebody, I'll say, hey, let's set some expectations for this call. And in framing and asking them questions, I say minimally at the end of this call, we're either going to talk about, you know, maybe the program that's the best fit for you if we're the right coaches, or I'm going to point you in a different direction. So being in the industry for 8 years, I have a huge Rolodex of just friends and people in the industry that are amazing at what they do. And if I feel like the girl who happens to be on the other end of the phone is a better fit for them, then 100% I will shoot them in that direction. I mean, just today it's 3:30 where I am, and I've already done that 3 times just today with people where I was like, hey, you're awesome. And I want to celebrate the things that you do have and the things that you do need to work on. And here's this other awesome person that would be a great fit for you, because ultimately that's going to make you more successful than trying to fit a square peg in a round hole by trying to just for the money's sake or just for whatever. That's out of integrity for me. And I think that in the long run of things, that always bites you in the butt. So, you know, operating in integrity with who I know is truly a fit for us and what we can really get people results in has served me extremely well. And so, you know, that's the mission of our company.
I think that says a lot about you as a coach, and then it also ties into the whole positive pageantry thing that we all love to talk about. That's in action, you know, having those connections and being able to point a potential client to somebody else who would work better with them.
Absolutely.
And what would you say is your ideal client if you have one?
Yeah, so we look for high achievers who want to discover more about who they are, and in addition to winning a pageant. So I see some of my clients who are on here, and maybe they can comment or they can vouch for this as well, but we really aim for life transformation. So I'm a certified life coach and Enneagram coach as well, and we do really deep work. So sometimes it's easier to say who our ideal client is not. And that's somebody who just wants a quick fix. Like, tell me exactly what to say, tell me exactly how to walk, tell me exactly what to wear. And, you know, that is what I'm there for. I'm there to guide them and help them. But I want somebody who knows their mission in life, or at least wants to discover what that is even after pageantry. So if you think about it of like a scale of 1 to 100, pageantry maybe fits along maybe a 50. And I want to help people discover, well, what comes after that? And, you know, what in the next 5 years do you want to accomplish? And when we actually look farther than just the pageant, and then we actually outgrow the things that are even necessary to be successful for a pageant. And then that's what helps to create such dynamic, unstoppable leaders that the judges can't take their eyes off of you, because you're so charismatic and we've healed the inner parts that make us, you know, doubt ourselves or make us compare ourselves or act a little weird during competition. I want to help with all of that, because you're a whole person. And you can't just show up to a pageant and shut down these other insecurities because we're going to fake it for a moment. That doesn't work for me. I'd rather that you get to work on yourself and the parts that you're really struggling as a whole, you know, and to heal those things. And so we look for people who are really looking for life transformation, not just to do well in a pageant.
I think that's great advice for everybody to look for the life transformation when it comes to your coaching and not just preparing for that one pageant.
Yeah, thanks.
How do you navigate between being honest with the client without offending them?
Yeah, so I think everything is in your approach. So naturally, I'm an Enneagram 8 personality type, which is a protective challenger. And I have a 7 wing, which is the enthusiast. So I'm naturally like a huge cheerleader of people. Hey, Brittany, I saw you just came on here. Brittany can vouch for this. Brittany is an attorney. She's a very strong personality type as well. But that's actually a huge thing that we do, is helping even our clients to round out the masculine and feminine energy parts of themselves. So like the masculine energy part of me knows how to walk into a room with, and I'm 6 feet tall, right? So like with a lot of energy, you turn heads for the right reasons. You know how to ground yourself with your power. But actually what I found is that a lot of times pageant women have a harder time leaning into their feminine energy, which is the softer parts of themselves. And so I can't help anybody with anything as a coach that I haven't worked on in my own self. So I'll go through that journey, 2 or 3 years before. And that's something that's a part of my huge story, which you guys can read about in my book and, all over our social media and things like that if you follow me. But God always had to take me through that journey first so that could be authentic within myself. And then through that, and then in addition to the training that I've had and just other things, you really every day try to strike that balance of being honest with people. But I'm very, very, very upfront with people about that. And actually what's interesting that a lot of people probably wouldn't guess is that's the number one thing that girls are looking for when they come to us. A lot of times they've had other pageant coaches that just sugarcoat everything, or, and I don't say this in a prideful way, but just in a matter of fact way, like they just literally don't have the knowledge to actually be able to pinpoint the things that are wrong. And so it's not even that other coaches or other well-meaning local directors or family members aren't being honest with them. They're being honest with them to the greatest extent that they know, but they just don't have the other kind of set of skills and knowledge to be able to be like, hey, it's because your feminine energy is off. You know what I mean? Like that's such a specific thing to be able to even know how to communicate. That's a part of unlocking results for the client is doing your homework and your research to become the best coach you absolutely can be. And Coach Allie and I are just so dedicated to always being learners that I think that's allowed us to strike that healthy balance for sure.
And on your own journey and in your so many years of learning throughout the industry, what is the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh gosh. So many. And again, if you follow me on social media, any of y'all, like you'll see a lesson every day because I'm very transparent. And I wasn't always that way. I used to keep my cards, closer to the chest and didn't think that I was as much of a feeler as I am because I really am like a deep thinker, and that throws people off sometimes because they're like not ready for it. But I would say that the biggest lesson that I've had to learn in myself is a couple things. One, to surround yourself with people that are safe. And if you get a weird feeling about somebody, you're probably right. In my personal set of beliefs, the Holy Spirit's going to always tell you and lead you and guide you when something is not right. And sometimes I haven't listened to that in my own life, and that I've created more mess for myself that, yes, eventually became a great message, but it also made me go around the mountain again to have to heal from something that maybe I put in my own path that wasn't necessary. So really to listen to your gut is a huge thing. And then the other thing is to leave space to understand your makeup. And another huge reason why we do Enneagram coaching with all of our clients, which seems like it'd be outside of pageantry, but really is so important, is because so often I see a lot of these high achieving, beautiful, wonderful clients start to doubt themselves because they think that they need to be somebody else. But then again, from a coaching perspective, you have to have the language to be able to not just say, don't compare yourself. Like, that's a great thought. Of course, none of us want to compare ourselves, but how do we do that? Right. And so we do that by learning what we should be and what we were created to be. And so I think those two lessons have really helped me to step into my identity and to grow as a leader and a coach and all those things.
How do you balance with such a unique coaching style input from your client's team, whether that be their director or their parents? How do you deal with those opinions, but also give constructive criticism when it comes to coaching?
Yeah. So, I'm being completely honest here. Like we don't really struggle with it. And maybe that's just the clientele that we choose, but I've maybe had like one problem in 7 years. But the great thing is like those things aren't mutually exclusive. And a lot of times, I agree with the director, or there's some really great directors out there, or a client already knows that they have kind of a helicopter director that's trying to make them into a person that they're not, and that's usually why they came to us in the first place. So we do have to teach our clients sometimes how to appropriately communicate with love and empathy and respect to their directors, to say, hey, thank you so much for that feedback, and I really appreciate that, and here's how that makes me feel, and here's and teaching our clients how to stand up for themselves. But again, it's not my version of what I think the client should do. It's helping to uncover, like, why are you making this interview outfit choice? Okay, well, that's because we've done a huge styling and branding workshop with you, to where you now know how to even describe your brand in the first place, and that influenced the choice that you made for this outfit. It's not Coach Megan thought this outfit would be good for you, wear it. You know what I mean? So because it's a client-centered focused thing where they're making a lot of those decisions and we're helping them make those choices, we really like don't have problems. And I'm being like completely honest. Like it's awesome. It's been great.
Yeah, that's good that you don't have to worry about that. When you are coaching clients, do you believe that all systems are created equally, or do you have to tailor the way you coach to the specific system?
That's a great question. We absolutely tailor to the specific system. There are a million differences between, High School America and Outstanding Teen. There are a million differences between Teen USA and Outstanding Teen, and especially now. And now we have volunteer in the mix as well, a 12-minute interview, and going back to more traditional elements of pageantry. So that's where we have to stay on top of it as coaches, and we do our best to do that. But yeah, they're absolutely individualized.
From your jumpstart as a pageant coach, what is some advice that you would give to somebody who is looking to get into the industry as a coach that you wish you would have known when you started out?
Yeah, so with coaching, I think it starts with passion and with being an entrepreneur in general. Like, I think a lot of people probably love the idea of the freedom that comes with being a coach, or potentially the money you can make or whatever. But to last as an entrepreneur, I would say that you have to be dedicated to solving a problem and fall in love with the person that you're helping way more than the money, the freedom, the opportunity, the clout of saying you own a business. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about helping people at the end of the day. And so making sure your motivations are in check and that you're doing it for the right reasons. I think that's, if you just watch, and you guys listen, after you hear me say this, you're going to notice it all over the place. But that's where you see a lot of people start coaching companies and they die out after a year or two, or they go and do something else. And again, it's not because they're bad people or they had bad intentions or anything. I mean, they're wonderful, but it's a grind. I started this company working at a coffee shop with less than $200 to my name. Like, I was not given anything. My parents were pastors growing up. We were not wealthy by any means, like at all. And Miss America was the only thing that even allowed me to finish college, And so I think from that place, I saw what pageants could do in my own life to be authentically something that elevated me as a human to a next level. And I knew that at the end of the day, I genuinely felt like I could get people results in interview. I could teach them how to talk. I could teach them how to be authentic. And my first 3 clients won or placed in the top 5 at nationals. And I was like, okay, so then you kind of take a next step after that. And then you take a next step after that. But I would say, like, making sure you're committed to the long game, not the short game, is something that I would definitely advise for any budding entrepreneur.
You mentioned a couple questions ago that you have a styling and branding workshop that you do with clients. Mm-hmm. So do you style the girls based off of their personal style or based off of the system they're competing in?
It's definitely both. So there are things that fly in USA that Miss America's not ready for yet. There are things that obviously fly in Miss categories that don't fly in teen categories. So I think part of that is just like intuition and staying on top of trends. But we actually have consultants that we work with that are experts in every mini field of interest, because I don't believe in being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like I said, we started an interview, and that's our bread and butter, is interview mindsets, identity, and kind of branding your overall image. And then on stage question, like the tough stuff. I want to get in really like deep into people's mindsets and things like that. Because that overflows into every other phase of competition. But yeah, we actually use specialists. So we have specialists for nutrition, for fitness, for branding, for Instagram growth, for different things like that, that we've developed over the last 7 years, because I want to empower other people to be consultants in the areas that they're super passionate in. And it'd be disingenuous for me to be like, yeah, I am just as passionate about this outfit and TikTok and interview. Like that's a lot. That's a lot for me to say that I'm a master in. And so that's why we take that route.
Oh, yeah, that's great to have people that are helping you out with those specializations so that you can cater to all clients.
Mm-hmm.
When you are coaching, do you run into coaching the same girls for the same pageant? I know that you said that you are very specific about who you choose to coach. So do you run into that problem?
Good question. Obviously, our goal is for people to not need us anymore. Maybe I shouldn't say obviously. That is our goal, is for people to not need us anymore. We want to empower them to the place where they're one and done, like after a year. But being in business for 6 years now, we've definitely held clients over that time period because maybe they started off as a teen and now they're a Miss contestant. But we bring people up and down a ladder of 50 different products and offerings and things that are tailor made for them. But the great thing is, like, I think when it's a right coaching relationship, like, you don't want to end that relationship just because you're done competing in pageants. In fact, we've started a whole second business for people who are done with pageants, who now we've kind of empowered in the entrepreneurial route. I was just on the phone with somebody yesterday who is a choreographer who's incredible, who's one of our clients, and I'm going to help her after she's done competing for growing that arm of her business. And it's like, well, yeah, because if it was a right fit for pageantry, why wouldn't we want to stay in each other's lives? So for that reason, I'm in their lives for a long period of time. But my goal is for them to win on the first try and be on to the next thing.
Oh, awesome. As a pageant resource such as ourselves, what is something that you would like to see more from us as a coach?
Oh gosh, putting me on the spot. Honestly, I wish that I think that you guys are doing an awesome job, even just like what you guys have grown in terms of your social media in the last year and just growth. Like I think it's awesome. And I think providing these conversations and more of these conversations so that people worldwide can know who's out there. And what I really love about what you guys are doing, and even honored to be here today, is like people are going to know whether they're a fit for us or whether they're totally not just after this one conversation. And that is perfectly okay with me. I think in terms of having an abundance mindset is something that can be really hard when it's a bunch of high achieving women in the same room, right? It's really easy to say like, oh, women supporting women. But when we actually get down to it, when money's on the line or different things are added into the mix, it's like, well, how does someone's character really react and really act in the moment? And so I think providing these conversations where people get a little taste of like who's out there, and then they get to pick from the menu of what's truly the best for them. It's really about the girl, and it's not just about who's claiming which contestant. I'd really like to see more of that in pageantry, and just for us to truly be able to, when I walk into a pageant, I see 3 other pageant coaches and I want to go give them a hug and say what's up. It's not like, oh, well, let's see who wins tonight. Like I just think that's silly. So I love what you guys are doing, and I would love to see more of that. Just because I even want to know, who else is out there? Who else can I partner with that does something differently, is a different part of the body of pageantry, if you will, that's really awesome that I could refer one of my clients to in the future. So that's definitely what I think I'd like to see more of.
Well, thank you for that feedback. We definitely try to foster a community of unity within the industry, so we'll keep doing that. Thank you.
Awesome.
So what is something that you want to be remembered for?
I would say my authenticity, for sure. We've worked really, really hard on that. And I do think that we are a little bit different than your traditional pageant coach. And I really haven't even used that term like in my whole fair, I suppose, with Powerhouse Pageantry, because it's so relationship based. And the great thing is like, I'm a mama bear to everybody. Like if you meet me, I hope that I'm remembered for being the same person that I am on stage when I'm singing or performing or competing, that I am when you see me at Walmart. Like I might have my hair in a bun and yoga pants on, but like I really am the same person. And I want to lead that way, because I want other pageant women to understand that like they can win and not have to put this mask on of perfection, or this mask of like I can't share my vulnerabilities. And so as a coach, as a former competitor, and just as a human being, I hope other people can really be encouraged in that way. And so, yeah, authenticity and vulnerability, just realness, like only having one face, not 2 faces, I really, really hope is what I'm remembered for sure.
Yeah. And I think you're on the right path for that, especially with such a unique coaching platform.
Thank you.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you mind sharing with us how we can follow you and how potential clients can book with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, tomorrow we have a brand new book coming out called The It Factor: How to Become the Pageant Queen the Judges Can't Live Without. And that's free to everybody. You just pay a $1 processing fee for that to get downloaded and sent to you instantly. You can find it at pageantwinnersecrets.com. Pageantwinnersecrets.com. That's the best way to get in contact. And then if you do want to sign up for a free strategy call to see if you're a good fit for Powerhouse Pageantry, you guys can follow us at Powerhouse Pageantry everywhere. We have a free podcast that comes out every Tuesday. We have over 150 episodes that we've literally had national winners win just from listening to the podcast, never even working with us. We just had Miss New Jersey USA win just from listening to the podcast last week after trying for 7 years. I was just talking with her yesterday. So we love to give things out for free. Just follow us and always DM us if you ever want to kind of take a next step in actual individualized coaching.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of your day and best of luck in all of your future endeavors.